Hello folks, just Graham Keith here from The Great Wake Up. Thanks for tuning in. Now if it's your first time here or if you're a regular, please subscribe, please like and share to get this content out to as many people as we can. Obviously the channel is new, they all take time to grow, and without you that can't happen. So just a request and a thanks from me in advance for doing that. So what is the topic of today's video then? Well, today's video we're going to be talking about mental health and how the agenda, or the system of the world's agenda, is affecting so many people, and what we can do about that, and how we can sort of, rise above our own minds to live from the heart with our eyes wide open and our third eye wide open and realize what's really going on in the world. Now, obviously, the government itself means govern means to control, and ment in Latin means mind. So when you realize that, then you realize everything that's being done and why. It's to control your mind, to control your physiological, your chemical, your mental, your physical, your overall well-being and balance will be affected if you believe you are your mind. Obviously you're not your mind. You are so much more than your mind. You are a soul in a body, having a human experience, traveling through this world we all believe is real, don't we? But it isn't real. The world that we live in is literally just it's a fake construct. It's a pre-scripted, preordained, pre-orchestrated reality which is being drip fed out in little steps, so that very few people actually are aware of what's going on, and they just don't question it because they're living what they believe is reality and true, and it isn't. Now in my family, sadly, we've had a number of people take their lives, which I'm not going to touch on too much, but what I will say is there was two members of my family and extended family who have sadly taken their own lives for whatever reason. Not all to do with the agenda, but the point is, if you believe what you think, and if you believe what you feel without investigation or question, and then you allow those feelings and thoughts to wash over you and completely engulf you, and then you still believe in them, then that has this susceptibility for you to get to a point where you can't take any more. And that is what we're seeing, a massive increase in suicides, particularly in males all over the world. And how have they done this? Well, they've done this by breaking down masculinity first and foremost, calling men women and women men, breaking up families, making it difficult for everybody to work and earn money, and as the male, the sole provider in most or some cases, has a real bad effect on a man in terms of being the breadwinner for the family. There's a lot of ways that the government are doing what they're doing, and men are not just the single group here. Obviously women, they're humans too, and even children and young people and young adults are struggling significantly with their mental health. So first and foremost, how do we fix this? Well, as I touched upon, we must understand that everything that we're going through is an illusion. And we must also understand that everything that we think and feel may appear real, but I can assure you, on secondary investigation, it isn't, because everything that we think and feel comes from the base root paradigm that we were born into, and thus we then go from that point, and everything that we do in our lives and experience in our lives comes from that same point. So we must first and foremost address the fact that we are not our minds, we are not our thoughts, we are not our feelings, we are none of those things. We are literally the observer of those things, and if we become the observer of those things, then we become detached from owning and taking on that energetical state, because then we can look down upon ourselves instead of absorbing ourselves in the horrible mental pain and all the suffering that we're feeling. And why is that so important? Because we can become detached, not detached from reality, even though reality is an illusion, and it is good to detach from the illusion, because then you can live in the real world for the first time. But detaching from the understanding that what we feel, if it's harming us or hurting us or making us feel bad, we can rise above that and look down upon ourselves. And instead of absorbing those thoughts and feelings and those horrible, physical manifestations as well, we can then begin to question, well, why am I feeling like this? Why am I thinking this thought? Where did that come from? Why am I feeling this and where did that come from? Etc., etc. So we rise above this mind and we become aligned to the heart. And when we do that, we become the observer of our lives. Now, sorry about the darkness, can't really help that. And I have got the lights on up here. But it's the content we're talking about, and this is what we need to digest. So everything we're seeing on TV at the moment is fear propaganda. It is real, of course it is real, whether it's false flag, whether it's staged, but actually real in reality. So all these incidents, what we're seeing about people getting stabbed, people getting sexually assaulted and raped, children getting raped, all these gangs, etc., etc., all part of the agenda to bring in the satanic multicultural utopia, which we are seeing unfold day by day. And obviously the government want to introduce digital ID as well, don't they? And obviously problem, reaction, solutions, as David Icke used to say. You must first create the problem in order to get the outcome that you want. So you must know the outcome, create the problem, and obviously get the reaction from the general public. Do something. Government say digital ID, most people go yes, and then the government get the agenda for the digital ID in place. But then once that happens, your life is completely and totally over and dictated by literally AI eventually. So are we going to allow this? Well, to be honest, most people will. Most people will. And most people are so apathetic and they're so indoctrinated that they don't understand that what is happening is planned, it's orchestrated, it's set up, it's designed, it's made to happen for this reason. Now, there is a saying, in order to defeat your enemy, you must know your enemy and become close to your enemy as a friend. And this is exactly the truth in this situation. You must understand that the government have absolutely no authority. They do not have any power. Everything that they do is fictitious because they're a corporation. They turned you into a corporation at birth. You can check that out in my first video on the channel. The lie you were never told, something like that. I forget the exact title, but go and watch that video, then you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. So, mental health is a buzzword now. There's so many millions of people. All you got to do is go on Facebook, look in the groups, mental health support. They're ram-packed full of people in your country, in countries all over the world. And the rates are rising and rising and rising. And obviously, as a result of that, people are becoming weaker, more fragile, more apathetic, more happy to just follow orders in order to feel peace. And we can't allow this to happen. We simply can't allow this to happen. Because once they have our minds, this is what they're dripping in free speech laws and saying you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't write this, you can't post that. Well, I would have to concur, that's actually narcissistic, psychopathic, pathological abuse of the population. And the population of the world, the global population, has become helplessly codependent to narcissistic sociopaths, psychopaths. And the people in charge are those people, not the governments, the people who run the governments. You think Keir Starmer runs the country? You're delusional. You think Macron runs France? You're delusional. You think any political leader runs any other countries? You're delusional. All you got to do is go to the World Economic Forum, look at Klaus Schwab, and look at all his, we'll call it his college course for leaders. And all of the leaders in all of the countries, or the vast majority, have been through the World Economic Forum course with Schwab, which is why everything is happening all over the world, orchestrated at the same time. Everything that we're seeing in the UK is happening in France, it's happening in Portugal, Portugal's happening in Spain, Spain's happening in Germany, Germany's happening in Sweden, all over the world. Europe, the Western world, etc., etc. So, how to defeat mental health issues comes from knowing that 1, you are not your mind. 2, you are not your feelings and thoughts. 3, you are not your physical ailments either. You are a soul that rests within all that, and you must become the observer of your experience in order to make it through. You must become the observer of the outer world to make it through that as well. Never ever believe what they're saying. Never ever believe what you're thinking or feeling, whether it be mental or physical. Because if you believe it, you become it. If you believe it, you'll achieve it. And if you this is why they repeat everything over and over again. Take COVID, for example. Hands, face, space. Yeah? Things like that. Why do they do that? Well, they know that because they're governments, they control your mind, and they know that with repetition comes reality. So the longer that you believe something, the more that you repeatedly tell yourself, I feel ill, I feel sick, I feel mentally down, I feel depressed, blah, blah, blah. The more you do that, the more you'll become that. Okay? And this is how the game works. You are all powerful. This is why they have to suppress you. This is why they have to do all the things that they're doing, because believe me, they're quaking in their boots. Because if they understand that the more that they do this, the more people gradually awake. But we can't afford to lose our people in the midst of this. Now, if these get away with this, the human race will be literally, helplessly, totally and soullessly enslaved into a system that they can't escape from. You won't be able to think thoughts that are not agreed with by the government. You won't be able to say a word or words that are not agreed with by the government. You will not be able to write anything that is not deemed good by the government, or you'll be affected through your social credit score. Everything that you're able to do will be gradually declined. You won't be able to go to shops, you won't be able to do this, you won't be able to do that. All of that because you don't know who you are. Really? Is that something you're going to put up? Is that a reality that you're going to put up with? Is it? Because if it is, then there's no point in you watching this video. We simply must become aware of who we are and what we are. And who we are is all powerful. But we can't be that power when we self-dilute our own power through not knowing who we are. Obviously, I've written a book called Saving Humanity, a how-to guide, and that explains all of what I'm telling you in great detail. And it's 70 or so pages, but it's worth a read. I'll pop the link below this video, and you can download that and read that as well. But this is how we escape the shenanigans that are going on in the outside world. This is how we escape all of the manufactured garbage, lies, media manipulation, agenda manipulation, all of it. And that, when you do that, you become free, because then you realize the outside world is a lie, which it is. We then can say, well, if that's a lie, where are the things I'm feeling and thinking coming from? Are they lies too? And the answer is yes. So you must realize who you are. You are an all-powerful soul. You are a creditor. You are God himself in their image, without being a narcissist about it. When we live from the state of peace as an observer, as God, when we understand that the outside world and our own inner worlds are all illusions, then we can again become the observer of all of those things. And in that observation, we can then self-question, and then we can find peace. So the globalist agenda has a very similar take-in on your individual inward health, your individual mental health, your individual physical health. And when we understand this, we can cure ourselves and make ourselves feel, well, so much better, just the way God intended us to be for our lives. So I've been Graham Keith for The Great Wake Up. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. The channel's new, but without you, we can't get these messages out. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, and download the book in the description below. I'll get it there shortly. Have a wonderful day, and remember, you are not your negative feelings, you are not your negative emotions, and you are not your negative physical ailments. And also, the outside world is not real. It is not real. It's just an illusion and an agenda that is being drip fed out to enslave humanity once and for all. Are we going to let that happen? Are you going to let that happen for the sake of your children? Know who you are. Teach them this truth. Teach them that they are not their minds. They are not what they think. They are not what they feel. They are not negative emotions. Okay? We must train our youth because they're the next generation. And I do everything that I do for that generation, for my family. And my family is just as important to me as your family. So thanks for watching. Take care. And I'll see you in the next video.